It's a tough time for employees, particularly those employees who have lost their jobs, obviously, but employers also. But we're still in a situation where employers are providing Americans something close to 170, health care to close to 170 million Americans, providing some form of pension benefits, whether it's defined contribution or defined benefits, to well over 100 million Americans. They're spending something upwards close to $8 trillion, that's with a T, $8 trillion in wages and compensation, and something like $1.5 trillion in benefits. And that is in today's economy. Looking back even a year when the economy was arguably in a worse situation. So I just want to say, I think for the record, that employers are trying to do the best they can for their employees as we're in these tough economic times, and I think that is a story that often gets lost on Labor Day, which the unions often, coincidentally, don't bring up. A quote from a recent survey on health care, I just want to mention, nearly 9 in 10, 88% of those with employer coverage, now granted, those are the lucky ones with employer coverage, say that their overall experiences with their current plan have been positive, including 42% who rate them very positive. Just 1 in 10 say their overall experience with their employer-sponsored health care coverage has been negative. Again, this is a recent survey, and I think it goes to the fact that employers are trying to be creative in providing quality health care to their employees. They're not simply raising premiums and cutting benefits. They're exploring creative ideas such as wellness programs, comparative effectiveness, et cetera. Now, I think that often as we talk about the NLRB later, you'll hear over the next couple of days that we need to change the rules of the road at the National Labor Relations Board, even though they've been there since the 1940s and have served the unions quite well in the past. But we need to change the rules of the road because the rate of unionization has fallen. I think the greater problem for the unions is, in fact, that employers are no longer the employers of 1912 and made famous in Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, but rather they're fairly decent men and women trying to run a business, and they treat their employees fairly well. You know, in this kind of environment, what the heck is really going on here with regard to the White House says one thing, but then the people below the White House level are pumping out regulations which create uncertainty, are going to cost a lot of money. Now, you might say, how much money? Well, we're not sure, but I can tell you that the Department of Labor and other agencies typically woefully underestimate the cost of these regulations and leave out, and I've spent 6 years at the Department of Labor, so I know how the game works. They leave out little things that are important. For example, let's say one regulation says you must train your employees on this regulation, and we estimate it would take a half hour. Well, it's usually more like 2 hours, but the point is, in this regulation in particular, the Department of Labor did not even cost out what that half hour might cost the employer. Obviously, a half hour of time away from the job has a cost impact for any employer that's concerned about any level of productivity at all.